Joe, I'm assuming Assemblyman McDonald might be on?
No, not yet. He said about 5 minutes.
Okay.
I also got a message that there was no audio on the live stream, so I was,
Oh, okay, I just want to make sure that if I needed to stop.
he said about 5 minutes.
Okay, so what is significantly impacting the 23-24 budget? Total salary costs reflect an estimated total increase of 8.47%. Approximately $901,315 increase over 22-23. This is inclusive of all of our contractual obligations, of course, and also, if you remember, an absorption of 4 FTEs that are currently appropriated in the American Rescue Plan. So that is some forward-thinking, proactive planning. And that was all presented in the January rollover budget as well as the February long-range plan. Health insurance costs, this is inclusive of medical and prescription. That's about $3 million. Our estimated rate action for Highmark of Northeastern New York, formerly Blue Shield, is 8%. Rate action for CVS for prescription is 0%. And the rate action for MVP is a significant 12% increase. I will say that the Health Insurance Trust was presented with additional rates this past month. We'll get final rates in March, but it looks like the Highmark rates will actually could go down about 2%. Unfortunately, MVP is potentially going to increase, stay around 12%. Unfortunately, the MVP population is very small within the trust as a whole, and what happens is we get lumped into MVP's book of business, and we're not large enough to establish credibility. So when we're lumped into the book of business, we don't really have any leverage. So negotiations are hard. Special education placements, as Amy spoke about last month, some of the changes that she's made with alternative ed programs, self-contained classrooms, have caused BOCES placements to decline, which caused our budget to decrease minimally. Same thing with private placements. I'm on the back of the page now. The same thing with private placements, were expected decreases in that realm too. Both BOCES and private placements, about $100,000 reductions. Transportation, we are purchasing 3 buses that will be coming off lease. We are maintaining and possibly even expanding the number of bus drivers. Thank you to Heather, our new transportation supervisor. Buses are hard to come by right now. So if we were looking to lease new buses, we'd probably be a year out. So the best bet, Joe and I had a couple of meetings with Leonard Bus, from whom we lease the current buses, about purchasing them. And so we're going to basically assume the lease for the last year and purchase them outright. As I mentioned, we have hired and are looking to hire more bus drivers. That leads to a potential for significant savings if the number of contracted routes is reduced. That would be wonderful if we could take away from Star and Strand some of those routes and bring them in-house. On average, or 1 route per day for 180 days runs us $90,000 to $100,000 a year. So it's a significant cost. Science and math expenditures in the high school are up quite a bit. There's an $8,000 increase over 22-23 for science textbooks, supplies, and materials, and a $9,000 increase over 22-23 for math textbooks, supplies, and materials. I will say that, especially for math and even science, the textbooks, the teachers the teachers that were looking to purchase these sent a nice reasoning for why they needed updated books and that type of thing. So those were a portion of the budget. Technology, we continue with the one-to-one initiative in 23-24. This initiative is 2 grades receiving Chromebooks. This year there will be 45 teachers and staff that will be providing Chromebooks with licenses and or PCs depending. Last year that number was 25, so the estimated cost is a little bit higher this year at $110,000 to do those replacements. Operations and maintenance, it may seem small, but the cost of cleaning supplies and equipment and tools are going up so significantly that we are seeing an increase overall in the operations and maintenance budget. And just trying to get our hands on the supplies too. Teresa Stasek does a fabulous job of making sure that we're fully stocked, but it's not an easy task. She makes it look easy, but it's not. Cost saving strategies. We will continue to utilize the stimulus funds, the American Rescue Plan, HRSA, CARES Act to enhance opportunities and maintain the robust staffing that we have throughout the school. And once again, bringing contracted routes back to the district. That would be a huge cost savings. So pending items, obviously, as I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation, we're waiting on the state budget to be approved, so that could impact our revenue, hopefully positively. Tax revenue, of course, it's always dependent on whether or not the taxpayers approve our budget and the tax levy. Transportation, jury's still out on what that's gonna look like exactly next year. Inflation, we are currently at an 8% inflation, and we're gonna continue to see the impacts in every aspect of our budget. And then, of course, depending on how we make out with state aid exactly once the legislative budget comes out and final expenses are completed, for instance, health insurance and rates and that kind of thing, will depend what our appropriated fund balance will be. I just threw a lot of information at you. Are there any questions?
I think I have to digest.
That's a lot.
Understandable, yes, yes.
I did look it over earlier today, but it's a lot.
It is a lot.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Jogged my memory how we used to get updates about the Chromebooks monthly though, and they really.
Oh my gosh, I thought about that today too, Dana. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I haven't heard about the Chromebooks in a while.
That's funny, yes. You're welcome.
Right. Jeff, I think you are next, or is John here?
John, I don't see him, he's checking.
Not yet.
So 5 minutes probably means 10 or 15.
I got you.
Johnson?
I have
Up on
a
the
few
hill.
updates, but I'd actually like to start with some of the tenure recommendations.
Yeah, we have some good stuff tonight.
We do. I'll actually start with Hannah. Amy will be actually making that recommendation, but I just want to congratulate you, Hannah. Hannah, from the moment she came in for her first interview, her enthusiasm and passion for teaching just came through and has followed suit for the last 4 years. So a really great teacher that will be tenuring tonight in Hannah Gillis. Again, we will go more in depth on that one, but congratulations, Hannah.
Thanks.
We also have Kristen Gentile, who couldn't be here tonight, but I'll share the recommendation that I wrote for her. I'm pleased to be recommending Kristen Gentile for tenure. Kristen has been under my direct supervision for the past 4 years. Through the years, I've had the pleasure of observing her teach a number of times, and I am convinced that she will continue to be a very effective educator in our school for years to come. She has demonstrated her versatility in working with students as AIS math teacher in her first year, as well as a second grade teacher the past 3 years. Her transition to second grade was seamless, showing her excellence as a teacher and her strong work ethic. In addition, it's notable that she was able to excel in the classroom despite the many challenges caused by the pandemic. As an educator, Kristen has developed a wonderful rapport with all of her students. She has consistently demonstrated the ability to plan lessons using a variety of engaging instructional approaches. Her ability to blend various instructional approaches allows her to better meet the diverse needs of her students. In addition, her students benefit from her strong classroom management, which creates a safe classroom environment that is conducive to student learning. Kristen always establishes high expectations for her students, and she does an amazing job of inspiring them to be successful. In addition to her hard work in the classroom, Kristen has also served the school in other ways by volunteering her time. Prior to the pandemic, she served on our math committee, which worked on planning a math night, among other tasks. She also continues to assist with our character education program by collecting and posting the names of our PAX leaders each month. Overall, Kristen has always been willing to put in the extra time to help our school whenever it has been needed. In closing, I consider Kristen Gentile to be a highly effective teacher and an asset to our school. I highly recommend her for tenure as a teacher in the Rensselaer City School District. So unfortunately, Kristen couldn't be here, but certainly congratulations to her. And we have Megan here with us tonight, so thanks for being here, Megan. I'm very pleased to be recommending Megan to Hall for tenure. Megan is in the unique position of earning tenure for the second time here in our district. It has been my privilege to have taught with Megan years ago and to now serve as her direct supervisor more recently. Through the years, I have had the pleasure of observing her teach a number of times. Each observation has served as a reminder of how highly effective she is as an educator. Her return to our district a few years ago has certainly strengthened our school community. While Megan is being tenured tonight as an ENL teacher, she has also worked with our students in the classroom as both a grade 4 and grade 5 teacher. Regardless of her role, she has demonstrated an amazing ability to develop lessons that meet the needs of all of her students. She has the highest expectations for her pupils, and they always rise to the challenge. Her lessons are rigorous, creative, and engaging. It is evident that Megan is respected by her students, her colleagues, and our entire school community. She is incredibly hardworking and dedicated to her craft. Her respect is well earned. In addition to her work in the classroom, Megan has also served the district in other ways. She has been instrumental in developing our district-wide ENL program. It is a program that continues to focus on connecting families to our school community. In addition, she continues to play an active role in working with the New York State Education Department to ensure we are in full compliance with the constantly changing regulations and requirements. She often provides updates and professional development to our faculty and staff based on the changes. Megan plays a major role in welcoming our L students and their families to the district. She is committed to ensuring that they feel supported. In closing, I consider Megan Nahal to be a tremendous teacher and an asset to our school. I highly recommend her for tenure as a teacher in the Rensselaer City School District.
Congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Just a couple of super quick updates if we don't have John on yet.
Any minute.
All right, be quick.
There he is.
I won't be quick.
Hello
John,
there.
can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you see me or hear me?
Yes.
Both?
Well, sorry about that, but that's okay.
Can we get his volume up at all?
So, Joe, can I go ahead or am I in the middle of something?
We stopped, we paused, we would love to hear from you.
Okay, well, good evening, everybody. I'm sorry that I think for the first time in a while, I can't be there in person, at least in normal times. We are still going through putting together our one-house resolution for the budget. We probably won't have that done till Sunday night at this stage of the game, so we have a long way to go. But I will share with you that on the education front, every district is finally reaching what's called fully funding of foundation aid. That's the good news overall, but it's not the greatest news for the city of Rensselaer. Although it's going to be difficult for people to understand this, Rensselaer is not seeing as much of an increase as many other districts because technically, not my words, education department's words, they've been receiving more than other districts as a percentage of fully funding over the years. I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm just sharing the message, so please don't shoot the message. As you know,
Is that why you're virtual today?
the education formula is quite complicated, as you might guess, and there's a lot of ins and outs. I will share that I met probably about 3 weeks ago now with Joe and with Megan over here in the office to go over a deeper dive. And they've been very good with sharing really the longer picture of what the residents of Rensselaer School District have been subjected to. And this board and boards prior have made some very difficult choices in the past in regards to tax levy to make sure that they don't move into bankruptcy. And for the majority of people on the board and the administration for that standpoint, a lot of the issues that Rensselaer got into were prior to anyone's arrival. So we're kind of in a situation where we're dealing with the issues at hand. And what's been helpful with the information Megan's provided with Joe's commentary as well, I'm trying to make the argument that we need to do more for this district. Technically, you're going to receive I think it's about a $350,000 increase in operating aid over last year, which sounds like a lot of money, but at the end of the day, when you look at other expenses that you're dealing with, whether it's labor costs, health insurance costs, retirement costs, energy costs, which we're all struggling with, it still, I think, has about a $300,000 gap in your budget coming up, or you're projected to raise your taxes by 3%. So we're trying to find ways that we can help improve it. It's not easy, I'll be the first to tell you that. And I've had multiple meetings with our education team on the assembly side, trying to see what we can do. So, I mean, I don't, to be honest with you, as much as it's been very good for most districts I represent, there's two. You're one of them that's seeing the minimal increase. Technically, you were slated to receive a very small increase. It was like 0.24%. But the governor put in a floor of 3%. So you're going to see a 3% increase. Some districts that have been not funded in the past would say you're getting overfunded. I don't agree with that, to be honest with you. And I know it's very confusing to say to you, and I don't mean to be talking in doublespeak, but I'm trying to articulate for you how complicated this situation is. Otherwise, for the most part, there's not a lot of other activity going on with the education budget, thankfully. We are going to be increasing a long sought after request of the district, not this district, but all districts, in regards to raising the cap on CTE funding. That is going to be in the budget. We also are going to be putting in our one house budget. Now, once again, the CTE and the other item, which is UPK, there's a disparity between people who are adopters, depending on when you adopted the UPK program. We're raising, this is our proposal, it's not gospel, so just be very clear. But we're raising, basically saying every child, whether the district started UPK 10 years ago, 5 years ago, last month, every child should be treated the same. So about $10,000 per head or per child in UPK. There's been a great big disparity that's been building up over the years because UPK has just been expanding slowly but steadily through the majority of districts throughout the state. My recollection, Rensselaer, is that they weren't the earliest adopter, but they've been involved. So that may provide some financial relief, but it's not going to address the majority of what Megan and Joe have articulated. Otherwise, I'm not really sure if there's anything else major. There's a tutoring aid in there. We're trying to just get away from being focused on tutoring and let districts make their own decisions on how they want to use that money. You guys know your students better than us. I know there's been some anguish expressed during the hearings that we had over the last 2 or 3 weeks about the mental health funding not coming out in a timely proportion, and we're trying to get to the bottom of that. We don't know if it's an SED issue or a DOB issue or an all of the above issue. So that's a little bit problematic as well. So at that time, I don't know if I have any other commentary. Once again, I wish I could be there. We're probably another 30, 40 minutes for tonight, and I got to go back downstairs to our hearing room. I didn't know if anybody had any questions they wanted to ask or any commentary.
John, this is Megan. Every year, the governor puts out there a cap on expense-based aids. I'm curious if there's any chatter or talk or any progression on that.
No, there's not any conversation about that, but I don't, did she do anything this, I don't know if did she do something this year or not? I might be been more focused on the revenue issues, but I don't know, usually in the past, the governor has tried to group together all the expense-based aids. We always reject that. So if she did propose it, which I don't know if she did this year, to be honest, she didn't do it last year. But we know that that is a big hit, particularly when it comes to transportation aid, so we try to leave that alone, so that we don't lose out. And Joe, remind me, do you guys, you have your own buses, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, just so you know, I have 13 districts. Some don't have any busing at all. Some farm it out, and then you have your own. As you know, I want to mention this only because it's becoming an issue. There's conversation about this deadline in the future, which isn't as far away as we'd like it to be, about converting all school buses to electric buses. And whereas one can understand the principle behind it and can maybe applaud the initiative, truth of the matter is, it's just not that simple. Those buses cost significantly more. If you're managing your fleet properly, it takes several years to prepare for that. Even if you were to place an order today for a brand new electric bus, you may not see it for 5 or 6 years. There's only a few manufacturers. And so I've been attending a lot of different education meetings throughout the capital region. And those who have large fleets, think Shenandoah, are saying, we're just never going to be able to make this. We're not against it. We just know we're not going to make it. You have to basically, in some circumstances, build a whole new garage because it's a whole different infrastructure when it comes to charging electric buses. My reason for sharing that is that it's been expressed by some, and we're trying to, the governor proposed this year to actually not change the deadline, but to initiate a much more deeper dive and to see how school districts are prepared and what the costs are going to be, because it's very apparent. We're going to have to bring more resources to the table.
And the logistics of it too, John. We go on a field trip, our bus needs to be able to charge somewhere to get back. And it's, these buses are $400,000.
Yeah, it's a lot of money and it's a lot of work. And once again, I don't think, in particular education, you don't want to be against it by any stretch of the imagination. But, like anything else, I say to people all the time, advocacy is great, implementation is better.
So, John, what I will say on top of that, and I know you're alluding to some of it, some schools are running into National Grid can't provide enough electricity to
Yep.
charge their fleet there. Not only would they have to upgrade their electrical capacity to National Grid, but National Grid can't even get it there. And then what we would look at is we do 5-year leases on a property. If we were to invest in that level of electric charging on a property that we don't own would be a crazy fiscal decision on our part.
Yeah. So that's to be continued. My guess going forward, at some point, but don't take us to the bank, I think it gets postponed. But it's too early to do that. So I think the governor is wise to actually request a much more deeper SWOT analysis on this. Probably should have been done before it was passed 2 years ago. That being said, everyone got drunk in the euphoria of the Climate Change and Protection Act. And, there's a lot of good with the CLCPA, but once again, advocacy is one thing, implementation is another. And we have to follow the resources.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Anyone else have
John.
questions?
Any questions from the board?
No, thank you for being with us tonight remotely.
Yeah, once again, I'm sorry I'm not there in person. Thank you for your service.
Megan and I still have our fingers crossed for a follow-up meeting with all of your success with this hard work. We know you're fighting for us.
We're trying.
Yeah, thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I mean, the New York ISO manages the electric grid and they're advising against the current climate action plan. I mean,
I don't know how it can even,
support what we have.
When is this supposed to
It's
happen?
great. We're not ready
When
for
does it
it.
retire before then?
It's a great idea, it's just,
The infrastructure is just.
Not there.
it's not gonna be there
Is
soon
every school
either.
district gonna implement EV charging stations?
Look what's happening in
That
California.
alone is gonna be a huge cost. Mechanics, to actually do all of this?
Each charger for each bus is the size of a refrigerator. If you have a tight bus garage, where do you put those?
With 2 bays?
Well, look at California.
Where do you put the keg?
They're telling people,
I'm just
don't
kidding.
charge your cars and don't turn on your air conditioners because the grid can't handle it.
Right.
So there's a lot
Not
to
ready.
do. So of all the problems that we've worked on tackling here, that one we've set aside. I like talking about that one. Just saying, just saying.
I
I'm not
mean,
leading the charges on that.
no,
Yeah.
and we have to make busing decisions now. We can't wait until they figure out that it's not gonna work.
And for us to install all that money at a location that's not ours would be ludicrous.
Right,
Criminal.
yes,
Agreed.
for the district, yeah.
You went to it.
You have
So-
to think about buses that come here for games too. Like, our bus garage isn't here, they would have to travel.
Very good point.
What was that? I missed it.
We have to have host chargers for buses that come here
Oh, right,
on sports trips.
Like,
Field trips, all of that.
with the estimated mileage
quarters.
each bus is getting, we would maybe get to Cairo Durham, but not be able to get back.
right. And the batteries and these things, the whole thing stopped. I have to stop now.
Unicorns and fairy tales.
They're so toxic for the environment, so that's cool.
Lithium mines?
Let's just keep doing these things.
Lithium
We have
mines?
any control over this, this bill. Right? Right.
We really are gonna have to start thinking about it soon.
We thought about it.
It's on the shelf. I think it's on the shelf.
So
Jeff,
let's get back to Jeff.
Poor Jeff. All right,
can you
Jeff.
still make it
Thanks for
quick?
being gracious, Jeff.
That's why we did the tenure recommendations, got that.
They were good
Yeah.
stuff.
Got
Good
the
stuff.
good, got the good
stuff.
news.
Yeah.
Now we're heading off the cliff, right?
I just wanted to share that we did have, before the February break, just more evidence of kind of a return to normalcy, that we're able to have a school dance for our fifth graders. They really had a good time. For those kids, it's their first dance ever, obviously, and so it's fun, thanks to that team and certainly the PTA for planning that. They usually do an end of the year one as well. I did also want to share that we are participating, as you may have seen the communications, in the Read for the Ronald McDonald House program again this year. Certainly a good cause, and it's either our 4th or 5th year participating in that program, and last year it was well over $3,000 that we're able to donate to that cause. So hopefully we can do the same this year, and I think we're off to a pretty good start according to them. On the 15th, we will have our spring concert. Hardly we're talking about a spring concert, but that will be on the 15th. We do a 9:30 show for the student body and 6:30 for our families. Already did the tenure recommendations, and then finally I've been trying to share a little bit about what we've been working on in terms of faculty and staff. At our February faculty meeting, we really worked on working on our book study, which is, again, I think based learning, trying to really engage students in the classroom. We had 3 teachers present a lot of that information: Kristen Crouch, our instructional coach, as well as 2 team leaders, Abby, Alex Hansen, and Shannon Kerr. And we also had Magna Hall share some very good information about her accountable talk stems, I think, in the classroom, which is a great way to get kids collaborating in a meaningful way. And Christina Lane, who shared kind of her approaches with engaging families with our iReady program. So it's been nice having a lot of teachers presenting at the faculty meetings, and I think that's gone really well the last few years. And then finally, at our department meetings, pre-K through grade 2, the team leaders have been running those meetings, but in grades 3 through 5, we've been really working on report card revisions and things like that, kind of looking to roll out different style report cards for grades 3 through 5 next year. So very busy, but a lot of good things going on. Any questions, guys?
Is the different report card, is that just an internal endeavor here, or is there a push for across school districts to have that?
To be honest with you, it's more or less us trying to align with where we we've been trying to get to the last couple of years. And it's an extension of what we have in the primary grade levels, where it's more standards-based and you're looking at more of a scaling of 1, 2, 3, 4 versus traditional grading, which I think is still maintained in junior, senior high schools or middle school and high school, but doesn't really provide our parents with as much information in grades 3, 4, and 5, where you can see it's a 92 and conclude that's good. It's an A-, that's good, but it doesn't really share a lot with you. Where did that come from? And how are they doing? So we're trying to get to that part where we're getting back. And like I said, it's an extension of what we're doing through the primary grade levels. So I think the transition will be relatively seamless. And then it focuses on the right things. Like, we're supposed to be very focused on the standards and driven by them in terms of what we're teaching.
Right.
So having a report card that matches that makes a lot of sense.
Probably in the teacher's mind as well, and like, right, I would think.
I think there's pros and cons to it from their
Yeah.
perspective, but it's something that we've been looking at the last couple of years. It's not an easy lift financially. It is a few dollars to do that, to make those changes. And then internally, it is a little bit of work on our end to try to make those revisions, but this seemed to be the most appropriate time for us to do that. And I think it will be more information for our parents. Like, when you
That's
just even
awesome.
look at the,
Yeah.
like ELA instruction, reading and writing and things like that. Okay, but where did the 87 come from? Like, how is my child doing in these different areas? I think it'll be a very positive change for us. So
Cool.
they've been working diligently the last couple of months to put those revisions in place.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, Dom, mic's on you.
I'll start mine out. We're always looking to kind of improve on our college offerings and especially for courses that we already offer here. So we did get approval through Hudson Valley. We were offering calculus through them, and now we'll be approved for pre-calculus also. So that's a nice exciting news. It actually, what Megan mentioned before, so that'll be some of the books that we're ordering will be for the college level pre-calculus class. Want to send a thank you to Ms. Sensi and Mr. LaBattaglia, who are guidance counselors. They'll be taking 11th grade students to a trades fair at Tamarack High School for our 11th graders that are interested. So, a nice opportunity there. We're also happy to offer 2 new after-school programs. So our 6th grade English, Mr. Gray, will be running a newspaper club Tuesdays and Thursdays. Opportunity for the students. And Mr. Kern is starting an astronomy club. Same thing, that'll meet Tuesdays and Thursdays also. Class of 2024 has a craft fair coming up March 25th, 8 to 3. That'll be here, so if anybody's interested in that, please attend. Our next bullet, actually, I found out yesterday, was canceled. So Ms. Apunte was bringing our middle school chorus to the MVP Arena to participate in American Young Voices. They actually had to cancel. I was thinking this on the way here. I was thinking, why did they cancel? I didn't ask her. I don't know if it was a scheduling conflict or something, but the program at MVP is canceled, so we won't be attending that. But ensured her that, please keep looking for these type of opportunities for our students. And then the last thing I had is school musical, Little Shop of Horrors, March 30th, 31st, and April 1st.
Newspaper club, is that school news?
What's that?
Newspaper club, is that school news?
Is it?
School news.
Yes,
Is it print or just electronic?
print.
Like,
Sweet.
They brought around a copy to us. They did their first copy just recently, so.
I think it's still on my desk.
Yeah,
I'd
probably.
like to see a copy of that. If you could just send it,
Definitely.
it'd be fun to read.
Yep.
I don't know if the Board of Education meetings are advertised.
Actual independent journalists.
Dom, I don't know if you want to speak to this. Bill's not here, but I guess we had some great turnout for some recent events, the athletic department.
Yeah. I mean, so just with softball, so we had 3-team merge. I was talking with Coach Wilson the other day. Very excited that he had about 12 girls on the first day. I'm guesstimating, do we have about, how many of you? We have about 6. From our school.
Oh, yeah, 6 from us.
6 from our school, I heard like 4
Nice.
from Loudville Christian and 2 from North Stewart.
Awesome.
So, with the opportunity for a couple more girls to come also, so they should have a, a solid roster, pretty solid team for that. Mr. Spath was holding football
I
meetings
saw
today,
that.
numbers look good, for that, so that's
30
exciting,
kids, I heard.
encouraging. Yeah,
Hey,
big time.
wow.
Winter sports ended the season very good. All our teams participated in the sectionals and did well. And we're
Great,
getting back to normal and moving forward, so good
Nice.
stuff.
Good.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Amy?
Very brief today. I gave you a lot of information last month, so I just, quickly, my update on annual reviews is that we are moving right along. We've made it through all of our out-of-district meetings, and we're moving through our school in-district students now, and things are going well using our school psychologists as CSE chairs. So we're kind of navigating that new territory. But I have the tenure recommendation for Hannah Gillis today, which is the highlight of what I wanted to share with you. So I will read to you the letter that I've written on her behalf. It is my pleasure to recommend Mrs. Hannah Gillis for tenure. Mrs. Gillis has been under my direct supervision for the last 3 years, though she's worked in the district for the last 4. During that time, she's impressed me with her strong work ethic and desire to continue growing as a professional. Mrs. Gillis is a valued member of our department and the school community for many reasons. Since she began working in the district, Mrs. Gillis has successfully taught in both the direct consultant and self-contained models. She is thoughtful in her work with students to tailor instruction to their unique needs and to support positive behavior. She's also taught and assisted with the organization of our extended school year program last summer. Furthermore, Mrs. Gillis' commitment to professional development has really been exemplary. She's been an active participant and developer of professional learning opportunities for the department. In particular, Mrs. Gillis has participated in the special education PLC, where she's collaborated with colleagues, especially many of our newly hired staff, where I would say she's truly mentored them. She's developed common tools and resources for the department. Mrs. Gillis really stands out as a leader in her use of technology in education. She was quick to generate video tutorials for parents during the pandemic and continuously expanded her repertoire of technology applications for instructional purposes, and has shared her enthusiasm in this area by serving on the technology committee. With regard to her contribution beyond the role of a special ed teacher, Mrs. Gillis has facilitated the After-School Video Broadcasting Club, designed to provide students with skills and understanding around the use of digital media. The club is also responsible for producing daily video announcements viewed by the whole of the Rensselaer Elementary School. And she has assisted in various PTA activities such as trunk or treat as well. In summary, Mrs. Gillis has consistently shown a commitment to her work as a special educator and to the larger school community. I am pleased to strongly recommend Mrs. Gillis for tenure in the Rensselaer City School District.
Congratulations. Thank you, Amy.
And my last item is just a reminder always to check out our PPS newsletters, where we share information for parents and the school community around different topics from our department.
Thank you.
Do you have anything, Joe?
Oh, I just wanted to say that John has proactively reached out to us when he saw the aid runs, and he's always an advocate on our part. I never care what side of the aisle anybody's on, but as far as representation and reaching out to our district, and even in my prior district, I've never seen a representative that was that attentive to a district. So I always give credit, and now I have my fingers crossed that he'll be successful in finding us anything in helping with this situation, but I'm always appreciative of that. And then the only other thing is, I just wanted to point out, there was two additions on here. We needed to make sure we are being clear that we are exercising our purchasing policy exception by having the board recognize it. And we have our school calendar for next year in there. Other than that, it's everything that I sent out in my original email. And on a personal note, I had a great opportunity to be a keynote speaker at the Superintendent's Council Winter Institute on Monday. And I got to highlight what we're doing with social media and mental health in our district. And it was just a great opportunity for me to be able to tell the rest of the state what we're doing that's cool in our district.
Congratulations, that's awesome.
So at this time, if we have visitors in the audience that would like to address the Board of Ed, this is the time to do so.
So this is the part where everybody's quiet, but then we say, why don't you go through and introduce yourself, and then you can say you spoke at the board meeting. Want to start on this end?
I'm below too.
Is there anything that you liked about the meeting so far or that you found interesting?
I like how we talked about like the school buses.
Thank
Very
you.
cool, thank you.
Thank you.
We're not hard on you, this is easy.
No?
Yeah.
My name is Sharkia, I'm from it, and I like how like the energy, how everybody like there was no arguments, everybody was just like calm, respectful, you know, everybody made their points clear, cut, you know, everything was just clear, and I could like take notes, like, it was just perfect.
That was great, say it
Thank
louder,
you,
because we
honey.
take pride in it. That was great.
Thank you.
Did you expect us to be pretentious and arguing with each other?
Well, that's what you see on the news.
I'm like, oh
That's what
dear.
you see on the news.
school boards on the
Right.
news
That's
Thank
what see
you,
on the
that's a
news.
compliment, we appreciate
Thank you, that's a
that.
great compliment.
Great observation.
I agree with what she said. I was with everything she said.
Very
We're
good.
good.
That's solid
Thank
answer.
you. Yeah.
I'm Shakila, and I really love the workplace environment. I'm Shanae, and I think the meeting was really great.
Good, thank you. Glad you're here.
I'm Elizabeth, and I like how we're getting a new college credit for high school students for pre-cal.
Good.
I'm Carly, and I like how the meeting minutes and the agenda is online. So if I miss something, I can always
Right.
One for you,
Right here.
Shaylin.
She takes care of that, right there.
Work smarter, not harder, right? Then you can look it up.
Okay, I'm Jillian, and I want to let you guys know that we're doing Battle of the Classes on February 16th, and you should come.
Oh, fun.
So we have money for a New York City trip.
What day, honey?
March
March
16th?
March 16th, okay.
What
I got
time?
my thing, I gotta yell at Miss Sklar.
Oh, I think Miss Claire's going to yell at you.
Probably right.
I got money on her. That was a correct statement right there.
We should be yelling on the announcements.
Yeah.
What time is that, Jillian?
I think it starts at 6:30.
Hey, thank you.
What day does it fall on, do you know?
March
Next
6th.
Thursday.
Thursday.
Thursday, thank you.
I'm Emma, and I liked all the things Mr. Pitt talked about because I thought it was cool we're getting an astronomy club. And there's going to be a school newspaper, and then the pre-cal class I thought was nice.
Great.
I'm Chastity Fogarty. I thought this meeting was pretty interesting. It was a nice change of scenery for me.
I'm Selena Thomas, and I like how you had those like budget things like on fire. I was
Yeah,
That was great, there you go, Meg.
fire, she's fire.
like trying to run around, I was like, oh my gosh, you're going so fast.
We'll give you the notes if
There
you
you
want.
go.
Also on the line.
I could see it and I couldn't keep up.
That's Megan, welcome to Megan. If you
Yeah,
haven't met
Megan's
that's
good.
Megan.
It takes a lot of money to run this school, so it's nice to have her.
It was like a different speed from the meeting that we were at last week, because last week we were at the like city council meeting, and it was much different because there they were just like yelling at the council about their problems, and the council were just kind of sitting there like, So I liked it was more of like a discussion rather than like somebody screaming and pointing their finger at someone.
Yeah.
We tried.
Remember, here at school, we're all on the same team.
Yeah.
And we love when the students come to these meetings,
We do.
so you
We
can
do.
see kind of where it all comes from.
Is this government class like all female or what happened? Like,
We're the guys, all underachievers
ladies'
or what?
night, yeah. I was like, wow.
In celebration of National Women's.
There you go. Thank you, ladies.
Oh, Jen, it's every day of your
Jim, you know.
I do.
All right, so if
Making
no
sure
one,
everybody got it.
I got just an
oh,
obvious.
sure, Peter, go right
Just an
ahead.
ob- I always ask myself why I say these things, but the electric school bus, I'm doing some work in other corners of my life. I'd like to bring any information to the board or the staff. I've mentioned to both Joe and
Thank you, Peter.
Megan and Heather. It's a complicated issue, and if I could bring anything to help, I'm here.
Thank you. You've been a wealth of information over the years. Thank
As
you.
always,
But don't rush in the door.
Thank you.
you know where I am, and let's do that over coffee.
If nobody has any questions about the remainder of the agenda, including the new items, I'd like to move the remainder of the balance. Motion to Lark and Jim, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hoping to get Mr. Preston down to see his last CYO basketball game today.
March Madness.
So,
He doesn't
we
get a
will
lot of
adjourn the
time.
meeting then. Motion adjourned? Jim and Lark, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I'll hold your pencil till next time.
Megan, I definitely am curious about what you